While I currently own enough Leatherman tools to be referred to a professional for help, well, if you admit you have a problem, turns out it just goes away. Or just buy a different tool, like the Victorinox SwissTool. People have been bugging me for a while to do a review on it, and assured me it was way better than Leatherman's and would change my life and whatnot, and they were absolutely right. I feel real different now. There are two main plier-based Swiss tools, the full-size SwissTool and the lighter Spirit, or Spirit X. There are a few sub-revisions of each, denoted by letters, but if we're converting those two to Leatherman sizes, the full-size SwissTool is similar to the Surge, or Super Tool, and not something like the Leatherman Wave. But before we get into all the real interesting stuff, let's take a look at the dimensions. This is also very interesting. I'll measure the stuff I do on the Leathermans as to not upset the blue line colt, like the weight first. Now admittedly the sheath here isn't the original, but it's an old Camillus sheath that I've long since lost the knife for, but I had when I was a teenager, and I'm providing the weight just to be a little irritating for some people. Now the closed dimensions. Length, height, thickness. It took me a while to review this because I had a hard time finding a cheap one on eBay. Now I did. How about the plier size, open, and the grip area? And the way things work is I accidentally won two around the same time, so I should have just bought a new one and saved some goddamn time. How about the main blade and the cutting edge and spine and whatever knife guys get off on? Not on multi-tool reviews, that's for sure. Why do multi-tools seem nerdier than knives? Is carrying a multi-tool on the belt like one of those guys who carries a phone on their belt? And the length of the serrated, the file, and the saw. Now most people know, even idiots, that the standard pair of pliers found on a garden variety Swiss Army knife are cheap pieces of garbage. Like this mechanic here. If you need to seriously plier something, which is what standard human males who use pliers say, you'll need either real pliers or a nice plier-based multi-tool. Okay, so to maintain your emotional connection to Victorinox products, you want the SwissTool instead of a Swiss Army knife. A knife no one in any army would ever use anyway. Now the full-size SwissTool comes with several varieties denoted by additionally confusing letters, which this explanation will definitely not help with. The X, which adds scissors and deletes the serrated, I believe, if I'm looking at the pictures correctly. The RS, which stands for Rescue Safety, and modifies the look of the serrated. And the SwissTool BS, which stands for Bullshit. I'm reviewing the original here, but would recommend the X because I feel the scissors are important, especially if you're a barber. Now for the purpose of this review, let's say the model I'm reviewing here is pretty comparable to the Leatherman Super Tool in function, tools, and size. The main differences being the Super Tool has removable and replaceable wire cutters nowadays. More needle-nosy pliers and combines the can opener and bottle opener into the same tool, which must be patented or the Swiss still don't have the technology down yet to combine them. The other big difference is that you have to open the Leatherman to get to all of the tools, and on the SwissTool you can access all the tools other than the main plier from the outside, with hard-to-find fingernail grooves. That sounds fun. Let's take a look at the tools of the SwissTool. All of course are locking, which turns out isn't something that occurred to knife and multi-tool makers much earlier than when cell phones became popular. First, the pliers. The pliers head on the SwissTool is beefy and similar to the Leatherman tool, except Leathermans tend to have thinner needle nose heads and more replaceable wire cutters on most of their models nowadays. I've seen many broken Leatherman plier heads over the years, mostly on the internet, which of course is entirely covered by their 25-year warranty. I have not seen as many broken plier heads on SwissTools, but that's because no one buys them. Because maybe they're better quality. Okay, so the interior ribs of the plier for ratcheting bolts, and then there's the wire cutters. Also you have the ruler, metric and Murica, so that's like two tools, right? Now the other tools, close it up. First, the metal file. It's got the same texture on both sides, and the file on the bottom is what we call a metal saw. At least that's what the tool description on ToolWiki, multitoolwiki.com says. Leatherman usually has different texture on both sides, which, I don't know what you prefer. Now the 2mm head tweaker flathead screwdriver. Not quite the small bit size on the Wave or the Surge, but not the large small flathead, that sounds confusing, on the current Super Tool. So it's pretty good. I still prefer the old Leatherman tweaker because it's slightly less wide, or the bit drivers on the Wave and the Surge. So it's pretty good, not the best. Now the Phillips head, it's a nice size. The Super Tool has a longer neck by a few millimeters and a thinner neck. I prefer the Super Tools, not a huge difference though. Next, the awl. I have no real use for the awl, so I can't tell you why one is better. The Super Tool one has a hole in it, the SwissTool does not. They're both kind of sharp on the bottom though. Still awake? Only 24 tools to go. Now the serrated blade. A good, sharp, straight edge is always my favorite over a serrated. However, if you cut a lot of things and you use your blade the most, I'm talking about like every day you work in a warehouse or something, having 2 blades to spread out the work is a great idea. Serrated blades work best on imprecise tasks like cardboard or bread, but maybe not torture. We're on the other side, halfway home. First is a straight blade, a longer blade than on a standard 91mm Swiss Army knife. This is about 2.5 of an inch of a cutting edge, and like the standard 91mm, like the Tinker or the Super Tinker, that's about a 2.25 inch edge, so slightly larger on the SwissTool. The Super Tool 300, on the other hand, has a nearly 3-inch cutting edge and a pointier tip, as does the blade on the Surge. I prefer those, the Surge and the Super Tool. And the Leathermans have a slightly thinner blade stock than the SwissTool, too. Next, the large flathead, about 8mm wide as I measured on the head. It's cool. Then the medium wide flathead, about 6.5mm wide on the head. It has some wire benders, strippers here. I never found much use for these, but I'm sure someone out there loves them. Looks like the prior owner here didn't use them either. Now the bottle opener, you have about a 4mm wide flathead on the tip, and the other part opens your beer. The most useful tool on the whole thing. Remember, a Leatherman combines both the can and the bottle opener into one. Which brings us to the can opener. I will not open a can with one here because every time I do it, someone says, "You're going the wrong way," despite the can still fucking opening and only taking about 10 seconds longer than going the right way. I would assume the only people who ever open cans with one of these are soldiers. God bless them. Backpackers, watching their weight, don't carry cans in their backpack because that's stupid. As for car camping or cooking, I always have a real can opener for that nearby because even using these the right way still takes longer. In a pinch, the tip can also be used as a Phillips or flathead because it's a little thicker of a tip than the tweaker flathead, or the smallest flathead on the tool. Now the saw. I don't see much difference between this and a Leatherman saw. If you need a real saw, bring a real saw, and not a multi-tool. This is in case your arm gets caught under a boulder and you're out in the desert. Comparisons. The part where I talk about my tool preferences as you become more comatose. First, the SwissTool. It's a nice, clean-looking, well-engineered product, almost Swiss-like in its execution. The argument that tools are better from the outside versus inside isn't as black and white as people make you think it is. I listen to whoever screams the loudest personally. On the outside, when you have as many tools as this means you have to hunt for the fingernail groove on each tool when a lot of them look the same from the top. When you open a Leatherman, the tools are more unique looking and you can pick out the one you need faster. Also, judging from the tool damage, I might make an anecdotal observation with no real evidence because it's YouTube, and it's my right. I feel like the tools on the Leathermans with their clean breaks tend to be a little more brittle when they break, and the Swiss are more soft because of the janked up edge surfaces I found on this one and the other tool I have. Also, all the tools in the SwissTool are more polished and not matte finished, so it shows fingerprints easier. Next, the Leatherman Surge, 336 grams versus the 280 of the SwissTool. It's quite a bit heavier. If I had to have a large tool, this would be my favorite. One weird thing though is to get the file you need to swap it out for the saw, so that's like an extra part you have to carry. It's small enough and it fits in the holster, but that's a thing. Handles are slightly more comfortable than the SwissTool, has a large and small bit drivers unlike the SwissTool. You can swap out with more stuff if you choose. Bottle and can opener are combined into one. Now the Super Tool, this one is about on par with the SwissTool in ease of use and flexibility. Again, smaller knife on the SwissTool. The tools are easier to get with a fingernail than on the SwissTool, but they're not on the outside. You have to open the whole thing on the Super Tool. There isn't a huge advantage to the speed of either one, and it comes down to what you're used to, not how one is way better. Again, unless of course you yell louder. The handle is more comfortable on the SwissTool. If I had to choose, it would be the Leatherman because I'm comfortable with the 25-year warranty, and there's a larger blade and thinner needle nose pliers. Victorinox has a Vager awarded lifetime warranty. Leatherman covers basically everything and you're only out shipping for repair. I will say the SwissTool feels a little sturdier in the hand than the Super Tool though. Only a 7-gram difference in the weight. Super Tool being heavier. Now the Leatherman Wave, by far the tool I prefer out of the whole bunch. Lighter, smaller, same amount of functional tools as the larger ones. I like the bit driver system over the slightly different size flatheads that a lot of multi-tools are filled with. If you need a bigger hand grip, go with the larger one by all means. I did a review of this one. You're like, didn't see it. Some might ask, what's the closest in tool functionality to the SwissTool, but in a Swiss Army knife? I'd say if you need a lot of tools to fidget with, the Swiss Champ might work. It also has the small pliers in a pinch. I don't have that model, but I have the older discontinued Champ seen here, which doesn't have the pliers, but has a corkscrew and a magnifying glass. The current Swiss Champ looks to be about 3 ounces lighter than the full-size SwissTool. Wrapping it up, as I've bored you with the above, I'm used to Leathermans and I like them and prefer lighter ones. The SwissTool is a great piece of equipment, however I like scissors, so my recommendation will be to go with the SwissTool X. I haven't tried the smaller SwissTool Spirit yet, but I'm sure I will one day when I find a decent deal on one. However, if you have a SwissTool, think it's better than the Leatherman, and think I'm wrong, good for you. If you live outside of the US, though, Leatherman's warranty would be a pain in the ass, as a few subscribers on my videos have let me know. Cool. SwissTool is arguably about as good as the Super Tool 300, but I think the Surge is probably better if you can tolerate the weight. However, I prefer the Wave, most of all, so I'm interested to try the smaller Spirit X. If you like this review, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, plier that like button, follow me on Instagram where I give stuff away from time to time, donate to my Patreon, which basically last month covered a little more than my giveaway shipping, and this month won't even cover the gear I bought. Boo-hoo, dumb YouTube gear reviewer needs money. Yeah, I know. Thanks for watching.